All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to Bleav in Rams, presented by FanDuel, your home for all things Rams football this season. Aaron Coscarelli alongside my guy, Tyler Dragon of USA Today. Make sure to do all the things. Subscribe, comment, find us on YouTube. Obviously, we're on FanDuel TV SoCal, and the Rams still favored 2.5 at home against the Texans. You can check that out on FanDuel Sportsbook. Get in on the action. But boy, do we have a very special guest with us today. A guy who literally needs no introduction, fellow Trojan, former NFL QB who played 16 years in the NFL. He knows a thing or two about what it's like to be a pro. Rodney Peete, hosting an awesome show, too, a new one on Bravo called King's Court, alongside his beautiful wife, Holly. First of all, congrats. Welcome to the show. Thank you for making the time. Can you tell us a little bit about King's Court, first of all? That sounds so interesting. What is it about?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Bravo actually came to us in Peacock a couple years ago, when we started with Queen's Court. So we started with there were 3 women and 25 guys, and they were all looking for love. And it wasn't, some of the other dating shows are really dealing with individual, whether it be man or woman, in their, early 20s or mid 20s. This is more of a mature type of dating show where people have been through it. They've had relationships before that didn't work out, and they're looking for love in their late 30s, 40s. And so, and some into their 50s. And it was cool for the first couple of years. And this year they switched it up and called it King's Court. Now we have 3 guys, and the 3 guys are Carlos Boozer, who used to play in the NBA All-Star, and Thaddeus Bullard, who's also known as Titus O'Neil, who's a WWE wrestler, and supermodel Tyson Beckford. So those 3 guys have their pick of 24 women that come to the mansion, and they kind of go on dates and then weed them out and figure out who they are connected to. So it's a lot of fun. Holly and I host it. We've been married for 30 years, so I guess people think that we have that secret sauce. So they want to find love, so they come to us for advice, and we kind of walk them through it. And there's a lot of drama in between, Aaron. So it's pretty cool. Check it out on Bravo, 6 o'clock on Sundays.
Yeah, I have so many follow-up questions about that, especially with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. But before I get into my follow-up questions, I know Tyler's got to jump early, and he's got a couple of Rams Stafford questions for you. So, Ty, why don't I hand the ball off to you first?
Well, first of all, Rodney, I can't believe I'm ganged up by 2 Trojans as a former Bruin. I mean, I don't know how I feel about this.
We're all over, Tyler.
It's all good. I know you used to beat up on my UCLA Bruins, so I mean, I don't want to talk about that right now. But I did want to talk to you about the Rams, and you have a unique perspective, obviously, as a former NFL quarterback. And, just how difficult it is to play with a back injury. Matthew Stafford's back injury has been the dominant storyline for the Rams leading up into the regular season. Just how concerned should the Rams be, considering he's a 37-year-old quarterback and entering week 1 with a bad back?
Yeah, I think, first of all, it's great that it looks like he's going to play week 1. But if I'm the Rams, I'm extremely concerned. I'm extremely concerned. At 37, and you're talking about the back, when I played, I certainly had my share of injuries, but they were all in the lower extremity. So I had knee issues. I tore my knee once. I tore both my Achilles tendons during the season, and then was able to come back from it. But a back is something different. And what we see now, especially the way the NFL is played now and the way the NFL goes now, is a quarterback never gets touched. And springtime, OTAs, training camp, even if he's participating, and Matthew Stafford didn't really participate in training camp much this season or this offseason. So the only time he's going to get hit is in week 1 against the Texans. And that is my concern. How is he going to respond once he does take a shot and has to land and fall backwards or fall, and that back gets jarred one way or another? How is that going to feel, and is he going to be able to recover? No one knows. He doesn't even know until that happens. And so that's the concerning part. I guess the only silver lining is that Jimmy G got a chance to play. He's a veteran backup, and so they've gotten used to him a little bit. But I would be very concerned that first time he gets hit, and it's not always with a sack either, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes, I know this as a quarterback. I got hit more times where people are like, well, you only got sacked twice. No, I got hit 30 times, and I was on my back 25 times. So he will get hit, and the question is, when he gets up, how is that back going to feel?
Mm-hmm. Now, if you're playing through a back injury as a quarterback, how does that affect your performance, like throwing the football, scrambling in and out the pocket? How does that affect your game?
Yeah, another concern is exactly what you're talking about. When you have a back and it starts to bother you one way or another, then it's going to affect your mechanics. And so you may compensate one way or another because your back is feeling a certain way that you don't necessarily maybe say keep your arm up at a certain level, or you're throwing at an angle that is not conducive to being accurate. So it can affect you in a lot of different ways. And then what happens too is once you start compensating because your back is giving you a problem, then there are other areas of your body that's going to get affected. Maybe your shoulder's going to get affected now because you're throwing it in a different way to compensate your back. So there's a lot of issues. And I think the thing for Matthew Stafford and the Rams, which it seems like he's done throughout training camp, is that he's got to be completely honest with the training staff, with Sean McVay, that, hey, this is not right. I'm not feeling right, or I need another week, or I'm not right now. I need to come out of the game. He's got to be completely honest, because if he's not, and I know he's a competitor, but if that back is hurting him, the accuracy is going to really be the thing that starts to fail him when you start to think about, I got to compensate for my back.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's not lost on me that we're talking to a guy, Tyler, who played 16 seasons in the NFL, and Stafford's entering his 17th season. What's interesting to me about this situation is I love that follow-up that Tyler just asked, which was, how will the mechanics and will it change? But also, what about the mentality of it? Do you foresee his confidence? It's not lost on me. The Rams made their 53-man roster picks, and they had a ton of depth on the offensive line. I think they ended up keeping 10 guys.
Yeah.
Being that this is something, your profession, this was your position, and you played almost the same number of years as Stafford, or exactly the same number of years as he's entering his 17th season. Confidence-wise, how do you think this would impact somebody like him?
Well, mentally you're feeling good because you feel like knowledge-wise you can compete and you've seen everything. So nothing that anybody can do, whether it be the Texans or I know they got the Eagles coming up, I Bleav in week 3, that they can throw at you that you haven't seen before. So mentally you're fine. It is the physical part. The physical part is going to be the issue that you've got to watch closely, because in your mind, and I don't know about you guys, but I feel this today. In my mind, I think I can do certain things. I think I can play my kids when we're out in the backyard playing one-on-one or playing horse. I think I can do certain things in my mind. But when the physical part, and you got to actually physically do it, your mind is not on the same page with your body. and so as you get older, that is the thing that you've got to understand is like, this is reality. I can't run for this first down. I can't get there. I got to get down, or I got to throw it away. So entering this time, and remember, he's a guy that got beat up for 12 years of his career in Detroit. I know something about that because I got beat up in Detroit my first 5 years there too as well. So I understand that. So the hard part is that he's such a competitor. He's going to want to stay in the game. He's going to do everything. He's going to want to fight for a first down. And mentally, he's got to understand that I got to be healthy for my team. I got to have longevity for my team. And sometimes taking those risks like he's known to do, he's going to have to rethink that, which is not an easy thing to do for him.
Yeah, that's so interesting that he's going to have to mentally almost sort of dial down the competition
Yeah.
inside just to hopefully prolong his health for the season. Like you said, he can't scramble for yards, or certain plays may be called differently, which is the next question that I was going to ask you. Do you foresee the offense when you have a coach like Sean McVay, who is a mastermind in terms of understanding the offense and schemes and strategy? Do you foresee, because of Stafford's situation, and like you mentioned, they play the Texans at home week 1, that pass rush isn't, it's intimidating. They have the Eagles week 3. The Rams have the second most travel miles this season. Do you foresee that offense changing at all in terms of the run game or certain strategies they'll dial up because of Stafford's injury?
I don't necessarily think they'll change it up. I think there will be emphasis on certain things. Certain things, I think, especially early in the season, those first 2 to 3 games, I think Sean McVay is going to be very careful about how much he puts Matthew Stafford in harm's way. And when I say harm's way, with plays that he has to hold the ball, or plays that it takes a long time to develop, and oftentimes those are the plays that you get big touchdowns and big pass plays, things like that, where you got to hold it a little bit and the quarterback's got to be willing to stand in there and take a hit. I think Sean McVay is first of all, like you mentioned, he's a master play caller. And he's that evil genius. So I think early on in this season, they're going to find out how durable Matthew Stafford is. But I think they're going to play it very close to the best, where they are going to try to get the ball out of his hands quickly. They're going to rely on the running game. As you mentioned, they kept 10 offensive linemen, so they're going to make sure that if one guy goes down, 2 guys goes down, they're healthy on the offensive line to protect him. But I don't foresee him doing a lot of moving around outside the pocket, at least early in the first couple of games, until they figure out that he can take a hit and that back is going to hold up.
What do you make of the Rams this season? I mean, because the high hopes, the expectations, the anticipation before all this news ended up coming out about Stafford, kind of right around training camp. I remember it was July 22nd when the coach said he's going to be out for a couple of days, kind of a lingering back issue. But high hopes on this team with Devontae, their second round tight end in Terrence Ferguson, who looked great during the preseason, that last game against the Browns. What do you make of just even
trying? I like Ferguson a lot. I really do. I like him a lot. I thought he's got a knack for the football, a knack for running routes and getting open. I like him a lot. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, what do you make of the Rams this season when the expectations are so high? They have Devontae Adams, and Stafford really wasn't able to connect with him and get in a lot of throws because he's been missing time. The Rams have just, they seem like they're Super Bowl contenders, but then we don't know how durable, like you said, Stafford may be. I mean, I've been asking other journalists, other beat writers when I show up to practice, how do you even cover this team? So for you, what do you, with your perspective, how do you approach the Rams? How do you look at the Rams this season?
I've got high hopes for the Rams. I think when you look back and see where they were last year and how they finished the season, I think people forget. I know Philadelphia went and rolled through the playoffs and blew out the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but the Rams had them on the ropes. Even with Saquon Barkley running for 1,000 yards in that game, basically, and in the snow, which a lot of people say, well, the Rams can't go and play in the cold weather. Well, they showed that they absolutely could, and had the ball at the 20-yard line going into to go ahead with 2 minutes left to go in that game. So they had a chance to win that game in Philadelphia. I just thought they were one of the top 3 teams in the NFL at the end of the season. They got on a roll. They got hot. They were playing great. Stafford was playing great. The defense started playing great. And so I expect big things for them. The key, as we've been talking about, is going to be the health of Matthew Stafford. And that's no disrespect to Jimmy G, which I think is a quality quarterback. And I think if Stafford does go down, and it's for 2 games, 3 games, 4 games, I think Jimmy G can step in and handle it and be fine. But if it's a duration of the season, then I think the Rams' hopes kind of go away if Stafford's not able to complete the season or finish most of the season. But to your point about the weapons and Davante Adams, I think the fact that they're both veterans, and I'm sure they've had many conversations together about what I'm expecting and what you're expecting. And when they do get on the field together, I'm sure they've had one-on-one sessions together on the practice field, that they will be fine. Both of them are veterans. And I think that both those guys, especially Davante, I think he's got a lot to prove. I think he's in a situation with Sean McVay and an offense where he can thrive later in his career. And I think Stafford's going to love Davante Adams. As much as he loved Cooper Kupp, and Cooper was fantastic for him because they were on the same page, I think Davante is going to do the same things, but maybe with a little bit more athletic ability.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the numbers showed Cooper was on the decline. He wasn't healthy a full season, I want to say, till 2021. And the Rams, that's what they do best. You know, they study analytics and they make hard choices. Losing Cooper Kupp was no easy decision from the Rams front office. But, you know, I love that you brought up last season with the Rams, because I think you made a really excellent point. And it was interesting at camp, this most recent camp at LMU, I asked Jay Glazer, you know, the NFL insider at Fox, and I said to him, you know, what do you love most about this team? And he said, and this was, of course, before we really knew big picture what Stafford was dealing with. But he said, Aaron, because of what this team went through last year in terms of adversity, right? Starting the season 1-4, having offensive guys, line issues, guys injured, that set them up almost like a callus to be able to be battle tested for what they may end up enduring, we don't know, this season. And how much does a team, and those are some of the guys are pretty young, how much of being tested in terms of adversity really does share in the success of the team?
Oh, I think it means a lot. What they went through last year to start the season, and to understand that it's a long season, and as a young team, it's easy to go into tank when you start 1-4 and things are not going your way. You can easily go into tank. So you got to give a lot of credit to Sean McVay and the coaching staff and the veterans on that team, including Matthew Stafford, who we've been talking about, to not let this team kind of fall and get out of the picture. Because what you want to do, even though you start bad, you want to always kind of keep yourself in striking distance. And that's exactly what the Rams did. And they made the playoffs. And then we saw at the end of the year, they were one of the best teams in the NFL. And that's when you want to get hot. And they did that. And so I think with the young guys and the young team, they tasted it last year, right? They got a little taste of what it could be like. Winning a playoff game, then going to Philly and taking Philly all the way to the wire, knowing that, hey, that could have been us in the Super Bowl. And seeing what Philly did to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, we could have been Super Bowl champs. So that taste kind of gets you ready for the next season, going, okay, we just got to push ourselves a little bit harder, and we are right there. And barring any major kind of injuries, and obviously, especially as we've been talking about with Matthew Stafford, but any other injuries with the team, this is a team that everybody should be, I don't want to say necessarily be afraid of, but they should certainly be aware that the Rams are as good as anybody in this league.
Certainly the roster in and of itself, and as you mentioned, having the mental fortitude and the confidence behind it, being led by one Sean McVay. We had Andrew Whitworth on the show last week, and one of the things he said that, you know, he believes is the most important quality to have in pro sports is agility, meaning being able to adapt to hard things. What would you say for you? Why do you think the guys love Sean McVay so much? And in your career, was there a coach that really stood out over the length of your 16 seasons that seemed to have such a lasting impact like Sean McVay has on these guys?
Yeah, it's interesting because Sean McVay learned a lot from John Gruden. And coached under John Gruden and understood what he was about. And also, you know, for me, I got a chance to play for John Gruden when he was offensive coordinator at Philadelphia when I was there, and then the head coach at the Raiders. So, you know, the thing is, as a head coach, you have to instill, first of all, you got to instill the confidence, and they have to believe in what you're doing is right. But when things are bad, like when you do start 1-4, the belief and instilling the belief in your team that we're close, we're not that far off, and getting guys to buy into that, that's not an easy job. That's not something that any coach can do. And Sean does a great job of being positive, yet being real at the same time. And again, that's what makes him one of the best coaches in the league, is that he can adapt to different scenarios. He can adapt, as you mentioned with Andrew Whitworth said, being able to adapt to a particular in-game situation, or a season when things are going up and down, because it's always going to be a roller coaster. It's not going to be great all year long. There's always going to be ups and downs. And how do you handle not only the bad times, but also how do you handle the good times? And so Sean does a good balance of that, and the staff does as well.
He definitely does. And I feel like that same theme can be applied to relationships. And, you know, you mentioned your 30-year marriage with Holly. You guys have been married for 30 years. I mean, I feel like you guys are the perfect couple to espouse relationship advice. If you were to give, just to promote, you know, King's Court and what you guys are doing over there on Bravo, you know, trying to get people connected, make real connections. If you could give Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, you know, love, relationship, life advice for them to go the distance, because it's not easy in Hollywood. What would you give? What would you tell them?
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of the secret sauce, right? What is the secret sauce to making it last? And, you know, for us, it has been communication from the beginning. And I know that's kind of like a cliche. Oh, you got to communicate, but it's true. And going back to Travis and Taylor Swift, I think the best part of it is that they're not doing this in their early 20s, right? Both of them have lived a little bit. Both of them have their own superstardom in their own individual lives before they got together. It wasn't like they started off together and one blew up and one was kind of slowly coming along, and then they had to deal with all the outside forces as immature 22-year-olds. They are mature enough to understand this. And so I think it will last, and I understand that, and I'm happy for them. But for us too, it was talking about what your expectations are before you get into a long-term relationship. You know, if you love someone or you feel like there's a connection there, you got to get it all out on the table. Listen, I want multiple kids. I want to live in this place. I want to do these type of things in my life. And if you're not on the same page with that going in, that's going to be friction 3 years, 5 years, 10 years into the marriage. Wait, you told me you wanted kids. No, you don't want kids. Yeah. I mean, that becomes a problem. Oh, I want to live on the West Coast. You want to live on the East Coast. What? That's not what we talked about. So you gotta have communication before you get married and get into a relationship. Yeah.
I love that. I think you're right. The fact that they're older means that they know a bit more about themselves and they know what they want. And if you know what you want, you have the ability to communicate clarity about your expectations. 100%. Yes. I love it. Yes. Rodney Peete, his wife, Holly Robinson Peete, they are hosting this very cool reality show on Bravo called King's Court. You got to check it out. Rodney, thank you so much for making the time. Bleav in Rams, presented by FanDuel. It's going to be an exciting season, and we really appreciate your insight. Thank you again.
You got it, Aaron. Fight on. Good to see you.
Fight on.